With me today is Councilmember Anthony Quo to my left, and also joining us are two distinguished members of the Irvine Unified School District Board of Education, Lauren Brooks, who is on our Webex, and then also Ira Glasky is right here to my right. So I'm so glad to have both of you with us. I know the community is very anxious to hear about what we're planning for the school district. We will be providing an update from the city and school district on impact of COVID-19 and answer any questions that you may have. Before we begin and I introduce Councilmember Quo, before we proceed, we want everyone to rest assured that we are adhering to the governor's executive order in our council chamber and throughout City Hall by sanitizing our surfaces and equipment, as well as wearing face masks. Well, we wear them in, we wear them out, but when we're 6-foot distancing today, we will not be wearing them. We also want to ensure all of our residents who do not utilize social media, which may include some members from our senior community, that we continue to use a variety of communication tools that we will allow members of the public to observe and participate in our meetings, providing everyone the same access to the important information we are relying upon during the COVID-19 pandemic. And with those updates, would like at this particular time to turn over to Councilmember Quo for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. I am delighted to be here at City Hall this afternoon for this important conversation with our school board members from Iusd. With the school year starting and just around the corner, we don't know what it will look like, but we thought we would bring our partners from down the street here to provide us some updates, to provide the community some updates. And so I really want to thank school board members Ira Glasky and school board member Lauren Brooks for participating. There is so much work to be done between the city and the school district, but additional challenges are ahead. As someone who doesn't have school-aged children in the schools, but someone who attended Irvine schools, I'm very interested in the success of our students. I know our mayor is. I know our whole community really rallies around a fantastic public school system. So we are very much looking forward to this informative conversation and to be able to answer so many of the questions that parents throughout Irvine have had. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Anthony Quo. And now I'd like to ask our very distinguished panel to introduce themselves and provide an update on Irvine Unified School District response to COVID-19. And I will begin with Lauren Brooks. Lauren, welcome.
Welcome. I'm sorry I'm on the webcam. I'm going to get used to looking at myself as I'm talking here. Mayor Shea and Councilmember Quo, thank you so much for setting up this forum today. Iusd always appreciates the special partnership we have with the city. I also want to thank our parents, students, teachers, and staff for the support and flexibility in these unprecedented times we've been in. Just a little about myself. I've been on the Irvine board for 8 years. Prior to joining the board, I was a PTA president and served on school site councils for elementary, middle, and high schools in Irvine. I was president of the board twice, and I was president of the Orange County School Board Association. I'm a trained reading specialist with an education background, and I'm an active advocate for mental health services and for just education in general. My background is in education and business. Anthony just said so much has been done, and there's so much more to do, Anthony said there's so much to be done to start school and so much work that we've done. I wanted just to take a moment to explain a little of what Iusd is doing right now. Iusd has worked tirelessly with the state and the county agencies to address a variety of issues to be able to start school. Our most important decision we made under the state and county guidelines was to support our diverse community with a variety of ways of education that would work to meet each Iusd family needs, and that's what our focus is what our families need. Ira will go into that in a little bit. First, we needed to tackle, as most of you know, we're one of the lowest funded school districts in the state, and with all the budget concerns right now and the economy, we had to work with legislators in order to help our school districts be able to fight with COVID-19. Although we're still not funded to the degree that I would like, I think we're moving in forward, and hopefully things will change in our economy. We are managing all the health and safety guidelines and protocols for our staff and community start back to school. We're working with the California Department of Public Health, the Orange County Healthcare agencies, just to name a few. Ira is going to go more details into that. You know, we also, one of our big things is we're looking at getting the much needed funding for mental health to support our students and staff in our social emotional learning and our mental wellness. That's a big need, and it's a big weight on our shoulders right now for our families, our staff, our teachers, and especially our students. We are working through our meal distributions for distance learners as well as when our schools open. We're also putting into place all the distribution for Chromebooks and hotspots and materials for distance learning that everybody is going to be needed to engage correctly. One thing we're doing right now is procuring all our Ppe and supplies. Currently, we have 140,000 masks and more to be identified later. We have 11,000 study corrals. If you don't know what a study corral is, it's a plastic three-sided piece of plastic that sits on a desk that will protect or give security to whoever is working at a desk. And we have 19,000 bottles of sanitizers. We are focusing and setting up our students and teachers to a safe, truly engaging environment for learning. And with that, I'll hand it back to you guys.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And now I will turn the conversation over to Ira Glasky, Iusd school board member.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor and Councilman Kuo. Thank you for inviting us. Lauren said it. We have a relationship between the school district and the city that's really second to none in the state, and we're very proud of the hard work that has gone into it. We work very closely together for the betterment of our residents, and we really do appreciate that relationship. Anthony, I know you said that you came from our schools. You're the first member of the council who is a product of Irvine schools that's come all the way through, and we couldn't be more proud to have you as a role model for our students, so thank you. Want to start off, this is really, as Lauren said, been incredibly unique times and something that none of us has really seen before. I want to thank the hard work of district staff and our teachers. Been really working around the clock to come up with things that we didn't know 6 months ago would ever be something that we had to address. So I really do thank the hard work. For those of you who may have watched our July 14th meeting where we decided on which academic models to offer to our parents and our students, can see the detailed work that our staff has done and really to think things through and do things really in the Irvine way. And we really do appreciate that. Lauren talked a little bit about the guidance that we work under. The school district is under slightly different guidance in a lot of other areas of the state. We're governed by the California Department of Public Health. At the county level, it's the Orange County Healthcare Agency, led by Dr. Chow, and it's the Orange County Department of Education. I just want to make clear, this has come up a lot, the Orange County Department of Education is different than the Orange County Board of Education. The Orange County Board of Education are elected members. They do not have direct authority over Irvine Unified, how we open, how we govern ourselves. So I do want to kind of make that clear. We follow the guidance by the Department of Education, and those three agencies working together provide us some guidance. Now, we talk about guidance, and the guidance has been changing. It has been coming rapidly, and we are responding to meet the guidance as laid out by all three of those agencies. I mentioned the July 14th meeting in the school board, and many of you who may be watching now were watching that night. I think we had 1,500 parents who stayed with us all the way through the very end, and students. To choose what we decided really was important for Irvine was to provide our parents and students options, to provide the choice of which model of education delivery would best suit where they feel personally is best for them and their families. And that was to provide choices. And so at the elementary level, it was to provide both traditional, which is at school every day. And in elementary, what that really means is while they start the day outside together in a class of, let's say, 28 students, they would then separate for almost all of the day into cohorts of 14 students. Allows us to keep the social distancing and keep the distance appropriate for our students. On the hybrid level, which is a blend of coming in on a limited basis during the week as well as learning virtually at home, and then also the Virtual Academy, which is a brand new initiative expanding really on the online virtual offerings that we've been doing through San Joaquin, our San Joaquin schools, but also now doing it in a much more robust way on a district-wide basis. At our secondary, our middle and high schools offering both hybrid, virtual, and then a blend of the two at our high school level. And then for our special ed students, our students that need the most supportive services, also offering a traditional model for them at the high school and secondary level for both our mod severe students and our autism specific kiddos. And so we felt very strongly that that was the right way to move forward. There's something there for everyone. And so depending on how you feel in your family and your circumstances, there's an option there. Of course, I talked about things changing rapidly, and 3 days later, the governor issued additional guidance and said that he didn't want any school districts in counties that are on the state monitoring list to open for in-person unless specific criteria were met. And the criteria have kind of been laid out, and they have to be under the criteria either less than, get my notice here. Here we go. Confirmed or probable cases below 100 per 100,000 residents and a positive test rate below 8%, and that's got to occur for 14 consecutive days. As you know, in Orange County, we had numbers that were trending up. In the last week, they've been trending significantly down, yes. And it's a 14-day average, so it's very possible within a couple weeks or even slightly longer than that, that we may meet those thresholds and then the 14-day period will start. The reason why we had all of our parents, and those of you who are watching, we had all of our parents choose which of those academic models they wanted to choose, both the students and parents for themselves. And the reason why we did that is because the day will come when we're able to go back and have some in-person instruction, albeit slightly differently than it used to look and under these models at much lower numbers, but we will have someday and hopefully soon be able to go back when it's safe. And the governor has made it clear that that is what he determines to be safe. So we need to make sure that we are prepared in those individual academic models to be able to return to school if you're a traditional hybrid model when it's safe to do so. And in order for us to be able to have staffing that's appropriate, to have teachers in the right spaces and the right numbers of students, we had to have parents go ahead and make those decisions. And so we'll be ready to pivot whenever the time comes and be able to go back to in-person learning. So I realize Lauren and I threw out a lot. We do have a lot more to talk about. We have a lot of questions. I appreciate the public in submitting. I do want to say as a blanket, if you have any additional questions, please visit the district website at iusd.org. There's a link right on the front page to COVID, and you'll see all sorts of FAQs, additional details, everything that goes into more depth what Lauren and I will be speaking about tonight. And if you see something that you have a question that you don't see up there, you want more information, please reach out to us. Also on our website are links to emails for both Lauren and I. We're happy to make sure your questions get answered or get the appropriate staff involved who can answer them. So please avail yourself of that.
Thank you so very much. We are so fortunate to have such wonderful partners with us today and to work with day by day in the city. And so I just want to share my personal appreciation for both of you. And I know it's been a very, very difficult and trying time for our school district and for our city. And it's just great that we do find collaboration and really try to find solutions to help our families and our children succeed in these very difficult times. I do want to say that our WebEx will last just about an hour, so around 6:15, I think we'll be closing down. So at this time, I will start. First, let me say we hope to get all of the questions answered, but if not, we will have updates on our website at cityofirvine.org/COVID-19. And again, that's cityofirvine.org/COVID-19. So I will start out with the first question. And again, we'll just be very free-flowing. So the first question is Iusd applying for the waiver to restart K through 6?
So, Mayor, I'll go ahead and take that one, and Lauren can clean up what I say as normal. So we're aware on July 17th, when the governor issued the school reopening framework, did provide in a footnote, actually, a note that waivers may be available for elementary schools to open for in-person instruction, and that those would have to be in consultation with both the county and state. Now, neither the state or the county to date, as of today, have issued any guidance or criteria as to whether and when a waiver may be appropriate or warranted, or what criteria must be met in order to have a waiver. This would allow either a portion or all of the elementary-only schools to reopen. So at this point, we as a district couldn't even address whether or not we would consider filing a waiver or not, because we simply have no guidance or instructions. As a matter of fact, the county and state haven't even issued an application form that we could even submit to be considered. Now, certainly when all those guidance and criteria come out, we will certainly look at it in depth. We will certainly consult our teachers and our staff and our bargaining units, as well as the community, on whether or not a waiver would be appropriate either for all of elementary schools or for even a certain group or groups of students within our elementary schools.
Thank you very much for that answer. And I'll turn to Lauren. Do you have any additional thoughts on that?
Oh, thank you, Christina, Mayor Shea. I just want to add, a lot of people have been curious as to why they've heard private schools or charter schools are getting this waiver. Just to let everyone know, we're all in the same situation. Nobody has the waiver yet. Nobody has the information on the waiver. We're all sitting and waiting for information. So a lot of the rumors are going around, so don't... please ask the school district and we could give you clear information on what's going on with that.
Great, thank you so very much for that clarification. And I'll turn now to Councilmember Quote.
Thank you. Irvine is such a forward-thinking technology city. Contact tracing has been a tool that has been mentioned by the CDC to minimize the risk of spread. However, it would take more people and more time to manually investigate each case. Would the city and school district be interested in identifying at-risk students who have been exposed to COVID-positive people based on distance and time? Digital contact tracing through technology could be the answer.
And who would like to take that question?
I thought this, well...
Board Member Brooks?
I'm sorry. I thought the city was going to take that question, but I will take it in regards to Iusd. I think Ira spoke about it a little bit about the following of the guidelines for the Orange County schools established by the, we're following everything through the California Department of Public Health, the Orange County Healthcare Agency, and the Orange County Department of Ed. As students show symptoms on a school basis, and a student has tested positive, we get notified by the Orange County Healthcare Agency, and they work with the district to do whatever it is to follow through. All situations are different, and following the guidelines closely for us is very important. I could give you, I think Ira went over it a little bit. I could tell you how a class, like if we had a class with one or more students or staff that had or showed symptoms, that class would be confined under the regulations of the Orange County Healthcare Agency. And that will be confined for how many ever days that needed to be confined to follow those rules. If we find that multiple classes or groups or 5% of the student and staff are confirmed with COVID, the school then is looked at as the school is then looked at to be reassessed and reconfirmed and recleaned, and will be, students will be not at school nor with the teachers. And then if the district hits at a 24% or more of, if 24% or more of the schools in the district fall under that rule, then the district is closed. And I know it doesn't touch with the contact tracing, but we were using the Orange County Healthcare Agency and the California Public Health Department to do that for us. If you want to know a little bit more about that, Ira referred to our FAQs. Our FAQs are really quite extensive, and I know I'm a small picture on this big screen, but there are great visual graphics to give you an idea of how the school has to follow protocols to each and every one of a student, a group of students, a school, and a district of what is transpiring. One thing I do want to say is that, as always, Iusd will communicate very clearly to keep families informed of what is going on, whether it's in the classroom, the school, or the district.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that clarification as well. And I would like to turn to Board Member Glasky. I think you wanted to follow up on that question as well.
Just wrap up. I know there are specific questions regarding exactly how contact tracing will occur. The county is currently looking at ways in which they provide contact tracing. State is making additional funds we understand available for it, and we will work very closely with the city on if there's ways that we can work together on some of the contact tracing. The city has really taken the lead on providing testing for residents of the community that most cities have not done, so we're very appreciative of that. So we'll continue as time develops to be able to work together and see what's available.
Thank you. Yes, we're the first city in Orange County that is providing public testing, and our council has been united in ensuring that we provide this opportunity for our Irvine residents, our Irvine businesses. And so, yes, you're correct. The tracing really is something that's being orchestrated through the County of Orange. So that would be my answer in relationship to the city. Councilmember Koh, did you have anything to add?
Sure, just briefly. And this isn't meant or intended to feel like we're passing the buck, but there are certain things that the city does and there are certain things that the school district does. But it's important to know that in an area like Southern California, our borders are right next to each other. There's not a gap between Irvine and Tustin, and the coronavirus certainly doesn't know when it crosses city limits. So that's why for many of the answers that you hear throughout the pandemic, it's not necessarily a deferral, but we're working with the county, we're working with this agency, because some of these tasks, like contact tracing, really do go beyond our borders and really needs to be tackled at a more regional level.
Thank you. That's a very, yes, Member Brooks?
I wanted to thank Councilmember Quo for explaining that. That's very key, and that's why the district has worked so closely with the county. And then we also work with the California Department of Health also as they see those things go by, because it's very, very important to know that there's no borders that say Irvine and Tustin are two different places. COVID doesn't see borders, and I thank you, Councilman Quo, for explaining that.
Thank you very much. So I will go to the next question, and this is interesting because I had a Zoom meeting last night with quite a few parents and high school students here in the city of Irvine, and this was a question they posed to me, so I'm very pleased that it's being brought up, and I think it's a general question I think most parents are asking about. If the school year begins entirely as distant learning, will proper training be provided for teachers to ensure students are receiving enough instruction? Will Iusd host virtual meetings prior to the school year to inform parents of training and plans that they have prepared to start the year? And I'll turn this over to Director Brooks, or School Board Member Brooks, would you like to answer that question?
Sure, sure. So one of the issues I have, I don't want parents and students and teachers to confuse emergency distance learning, where we only gave teachers 2 days from back in March to create environments for students. I want to think forward thinking as Irvine does, and we are in the process, and currently teachers are doing a lot of different trainings right now that will encourage our teachers to have a better overlook of what they're doing, especially since just a couple of weeks ago we were told we were going back into distance learning. There's a lot of opportunities for teachers right now, as well as we always, I can give you some of that information. But I also want to stress, before I go into what we're doing with teachers, that we will have parent trainings, we will have student trainings. These are all new environments, learning environments that are going to be asynchronous and synchronous, and have to, parents are going to have to know how to adapt to when their kids are online, and students are, and parents' discussions with teachers, with principals, with staff, and our students are going to have to adapt to the new Zoom profiles or the campus profiles or the small group meetings within a larger group. So there's a lot going on. And on that front, Irene, am I okay still going, or do you want to add anything yet?
No, Lauren, I appreciate it. The only thing I want to add is that our teachers did an amazing job in the spring, reacting on very short notice on changing really the very nature of how they teach. And they did really an incredible job. They've been working very hard over the summer, and our professional development trainings have been working our teams are working very hard to be able to provide additional guidance and tools for our teachers to be able to use as they move to virtual. Now, whether that's going to be the teachers that are going to go completely to Irvine Virtual Academy, which will be our year-long virtual options, or as well as our hybrid and traditional, which will be just on a regular distance learning, not emergency learning, but distance learning until they're able to come back to school. So there is an incredible amount of training that we're providing our teachers, and really providing them with additional tools for them to do what they do best, which is teach.
Wonderful. Councilmember Kuo, you have the next question. Go ahead.
Yes. Would the Irvine Unified School District consider being completely online for all students this fall?
So I'm happy to start the question on that. So at our meeting on July 14th, we did consider one of the options in the models is to have the entire district be online for all students. And the board felt it was incredibly important, and staff did as well, to not have everyone choose the online option, or to give them the online option. We firmly believe that when it's safe to do so, the best learning is done, in fact, in a classroom with individual teachers. And we understand that some people, when it's determined to be safe, there still may be folks that, for whatever reasons, whether it's personal, whether it's additional family health issues, don't feel comfortable coming back to school. And that's why we provided them both with the hybrid and the full Irvine Virtual Academy models. And so we're providing that for those students and parents who feel that's where they want to go, and for those who do believe that when it's safe to come back to school, would like their students to come back to school either at a part-time or essentially full-time basis if you're in elementary, have those options as well. It's really providing options for our community, and that's what we've done.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that clarification. And the next question is actually my question, but I will answer it because it's really addressed for the city. Will there be more opportunities for outdoor movies and concerts? And that's a very good question. Actually, I just finished my Mayor's Corner upstairs about an hour and a half ago. And, you know, many of us know that in the summer, especially like at Woodbridge Community Park, we have our weekly outdoor concerts, which are always fantastic, but we can't have them this year. So the one thing we were talking about as a council, what could we do to provide activities and outdoor fun for our families, even though we're sequestered in our homes? And we thought about, especially one of my ideas was the movies, drive-in movies, because when I was younger, in high school, used to go to drive-in movies all the time. Many of you may not remember having drive-in movies as Orange County has built out. We just don't have the land for providing those type of venues. But so we are having outdoor movies and outdoor concerts, and they're going to be starting this Saturday at the Great Park. So at 5:30 this Saturday, we'll have our concerts in the car, and the music will be adapted through your radio. And then the following week, we'll have a movie, then a concert and a movie, and we're hoping we can extend this into September. When we offered this opportunity for these events, within, I believe, 2 to 3 days, they were basically sold out. We had tickets, and it's just going to be a real success. So we are talking about extending this into September, and who knows, maybe we could start making it a regular opportunity for our families to be able to go to a drive-in movie on a Friday night here at the city. We might charge a little bit to cover the costs, so it does not drain our general fund, but I'm sure they're going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have food trucks and with sandwiches and desserts, and it should be really great. And any ideas, if you attend, that you want to add or give us any fresh ideas in regard to make these concerts and movies better, please do let us know. So, Councilmember Quo, did you want to add anything to that?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Many people may have heard of or may not have heard of the Irvine Barclay Theater. The Barclay Theater is a theater that the city actually owns. We own the building. The building sits on UC Irvine land, and it's run by an independent nonprofit board that I get to serve on, along with one of my council colleagues, Councilmember Khan. But interestingly enough, and I know we don't have formal plans yet, but our staff has been working very diligently with the staff of the Barclay to be included in that rotation of events out at the Great Park so that people can enjoy the fine arts outdoor, whether it's the summer or in the coming fall. We want people to be able to enjoy that, and certainly from the Barclay family, we want to be able to continue providing arts to the community. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. We are trying to be very creative and think of some wonderful ideas for our families to get out this summer and to enjoy our beautiful city within the confines of the governor's orders. So hopefully these movies and the concerts will be great, and we'll be able to extend them. And we just really want to hear from you and get your feedback. So at this time, I'll turn the question will go to Councilmember Quo.
Thank you. The next question is, when will fields open back up for social distancing youth sports? This is a question that's on a lot of people's minds. I've had a lot of conversations and Zoom meetings and phone calls with parents and sports leaders about this. My representative to the Community Services Commission is very active in baseball youth sports, and we have been talking about this so much because it's so critical. Irvine is home to the nation's 6th best park system and the #1 park system in California. And it's a real shame that we can't use this system. We can go out on our trails, we can social distance, we can walk, but youth sports has been something that the state really has come down on us. The county, and I don't mean this in a critical way, but they found a clever way to say, well, summer camps can be operating. We should qualify youth sports under summer camps. So youth sports began real briefly, got kind of a little bit of a head start, and the state came in and said, oh, we see that you found the loophole, and we're gonna close that loophole back up. So unfortunately, it really has not been, again, I don't want to say it's not a decision of the city, but we have been very conscientious about trying to follow the rules. Earlier this week, there were news reports of, I believe, 2 cities in Central Valley who have openly, I guess you could use the word, defied the state's order, and the state in response said, well, you're going to lose out on some coronavirus funding, and you're going to lose out on other state funding. So please be mindful that when we make decisions, no one, the mayor and I were elected. We have 2 school board members here who were elected. None of us were elected to want to be here to say we're shutting things down or we're closing things.
Exactly.
We want things to open, but we want to do it in the right way. We want to do it without being penalized financially. The economy already, we are the great beneficiaries of sales tax, and so we're already taking a hit there, but we want to be mindful of your tax dollars when we open and close things. But But we are, I know we have several people on our staff that are in constant communication with Dr. Chow from the county as well as the state on trying to figure out ways of allowing us to go back to being able to enjoy California's best municipal park system.
Thank you. That's a very comprehensive answer to that question because, and just to add to this, that we have been told that there's a possibility that the state will come into communities and start auditing what we have been doing, and if in fact we have not been complying with state orders, they can come in and take away money that they've forwarded to us, and we would be looking at millions and millions of dollars that they would be able to take back. So we are under a very strict guidelines, and we have to follow them, as difficult as it is. And some of the guidelines we support, and some of the guidelines we're having frustration with, but we need to do it for the protection of our financial well-being as well. So thank you for that answer.
Mayor, if I can add just one thing
Yes,
to that,
please.
because it really does lead into questions we've received. What about high school sports and whether high school sports will be ready to begin in the fall? About 2 weeks ago, California Scholastic Federation announced that they were going to condense the athletic school year into basically 2 seasons. There'll just now be a fall season that will start at the beginning of December, and then there'll be a spring season. And we'll combine what's normally 3 seasons of high school sports into 2. There'll be some changes that go along with that. There's a lot for us still to figure out. Hard to have both boys and girls, for instance, water polo or basketball or some of these things will now all have to be on the same time and happen at the same time. So we have to have some facilities concerns that we will work out. But there will in fact be, as of right now, athletics this year and football and things of that nature. They'll just be starting in December.
Great, thank you for that follow-up. Okay, so the next question will be coming from me, and it says, are there plans to offer periodic teacher and staff testing? And if I could just say this, we have about 22 minutes and we have quite a few questions, so it's been very good to have more comprehensive answers, but if we could just minimize some of our answers so we can get more of the questions in, I would appreciate that. So, once again, are there plans to offer periodic teacher and staff testing? And I will turn to Board Member Brooks or Board Member
Lauren,
Glasky.
Yeah, Lauren, if you don't mind, I'll grab this real quick.
Okay.
The guidance that's been put out by the state and the county has specified testing for staff, teachers, and our staff. They ask that dictates that they be tested periodically as capacity permits, and hopefully testing capacity will increase as we move along. But basically, they want all staff to be tested over a 2-month period and then periodically tested thereafter. So we will be working to follow those guidelines.
Wonderful. And Board Member Brooks, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think I did a wonderful job of summarizing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll turn to Councilmember Kuo for the next question.
Thank you. The next question is, how is the city supporting virtual learning at Iusd? They added a note, thank you for forcing mask wearing, keep doing what you're doing. Earlier, before we started, one of the things, and this isn't virtual, but I want to underscore the great partnership that the city of Irvine and the school district has. It's kind of a hand-in-glove relationship, and sometimes the city's the hand and the school district's the glove, and sometimes the city's the glove and the school district's the hand. But right before we started, the city, the mayor and I were able to present to Board Member Glasky and virtually to Board Member Brooks 100,000 masks from our supply of masks. So we really work very closely together. There's an interesting financial relationship between the city and the school district as well. It's one of the only cities that I'm aware of where the city provides financial support to the school district. What a lot of folks don't realize is the school district doesn't report to us and we don't report to the school district. They have their own budget and we have our own budget, but this partnership that we have, I would say is second to none in the area and certainly elsewhere in terms of the kind of support that we provide to them. Now, in terms of direct support on virtual learning, I'm just going to be really honest, I don't know. But I would say, on behalf of the city, whatever the school district needs for us to support your efforts in virtual learning, we are always here to be able to buoy your efforts.
Board Member Brooks, did you want to follow up on that?
No, I wanted to add a few things. Anthony, a beautiful talk about the relationship. One of the other things that's very unusual about our relationship is our monthly meetings, our liaison meetings. Doesn't happen with any other districts that I've talked to. And as I said, I used to be the president of the Orange County School Board Association. I talked to many school board members, and it's a very unique, wonderful relationship. As sometimes it's just a pleasure to be a part of. I did want to mention one other thing. We also are focusing on masks at school. The Orange County, because the question that we were just asked was, the comments were about masks, and we do appreciate everything the city's doing with masks. And I can't tell you how I appreciate what just happened prior to the meeting with all the masks that came our way. And that just is wonderful because it goes with what we are doing with masks and our students. The Orange County Healthcare Agency, as well as the California Public Health Department, gave one level of masks to starting schools. Well, our Board of Education took it another step, and we are enhancing that and making it a little bit more stringent on masks and children. So those, and if you want to see our mask covering, you can look at our FAQs for the information, but the mask that the city is providing is just going to go perfectly into our mask outlook.
Well, we're so pleased to do it. We just received 1 million mask donation from our development partner, 5 Point, and so I'm going to be setting up some Saturday giveaways, Mayor's Mask Giveaways, we're going to call it, and invite my council members, and we're going to invite the public to drive through Civic Center here and to pick up some masks for their family. And again, if there's any need in the school district, we will have plenty in storage for you. So I'm very pleased to offer those. The next question is, what happens in a person's setting when a teacher shows symptoms or tests positive for COVID-19? Will the students be taught by a substitute for 14 days or more?
Yeah, so I think Lauren actually answered this on a previous question, but just real quickly, if a class of 1 or more students or a teacher or staff member tests positive, then the whole class will actually be isolated and sent home for a period of 14 days from the last time that person who tested positive was actually in the classroom. So that will be on a class basis. Teaching will still continue. There will still be virtual teaching for the class, even if they are having to be at home. And Lauren talked a little bit about what happens if multiple classes or more than 5% of students or staff in the school or more of our schools. So those are requirements and guidance set forth by the county and the state, and we will continue to follow those.
Wonderful, thank you. And now I'll turn to Councilmember Kuo for the next question.
Thank you. To our school board members, how will IEPs be handled for students in distance learning mode?
Just so you know, our students with IEPs have the biggest change of all our student population, and level of understanding, and all our board members have spoke about that. We all understand IEPs. Most of our board members have had students on IEPs. My child alone was on an IEP from 2nd grade to junior year in high school. So we understand the level of concern and what goes into doing an IEP. We felt strongly, as did the staff, that the models we chose were good and the right thing for everyone, especially our IEP students. I know our parents were elated on July 12th when we named all the 3 levels, and that our special ed and IEP students would be involved in all levels there. Right now, since the governor changed our methods and we're all going distance learning now, we have some barriers to implementing full FAPE when students are unable to be at school and on campus. The IEP teams, which are teachers, our specialists, our program specialists, will be working with parents individually to determine how they can support each IEP to the fullest extent possible. And regardless of the model of the current using distance learning, students with IDs will be provided supports and services to allow access to instruction, again, to the fullest extent possible. And right now, if you have any concerns, you can contact your teacher, your principal, your program specialist, if you have an IEP, and talk to them about your concerns now. Or you can always email Ira and I, and our emails are on the IEP website.
Thank you very much. The next question, actually, I will ask and I will answer. What is the city doing to support testing within our community and for Iusd? And of course, as I mentioned earlier, so I will be brief, that the city of Irvine over the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, have been looking into bringing on a independent test company that will have been testing our public and our businesses. And we started this, we're going into our 3rd week, and it's been very successful. Families have been able to sign up online. So either if you're an Irvine business, work in an Irvine business, or you're an Irvine resident, you can sign up, you can register, and then we set up appointment times for you. I went through the first day, and it was very quick, very efficient. My testing came back negative, which was wonderful. So it's been a really a wonderful opportunity for anyone in our city to just access this testing. You would use your insurance, and if you don't have insurance, we apply the cost to the CARES Act through the county, through the state, and so we get reimbursed that way as well. So it's a very efficient way to get testing. It is an antibody test. It's the antigen test that just shows whether you have the virus at the present point in time. So I would suggest that you look online. I think our appointments are pretty much filled up for this month, but we are going to be extending it for another 30 days. And so anyone from Iusd, from the city of Irvine, you're welcome to go to the Great Park. I believe it's from like 8 in the morning to 5 at night, Monday through Thursday. And you will see it's a very efficient operation. Probably wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. Some cities that do this in LA County and North, they're hours waiting, but we are very efficient here. So we really encourage you to go get tested, and we want to accommodate that and provide this benefit to our families, to our school district families, our children. So thank you. Please take that opportunity and make sure that you go get tested. And so now I'll turn this next question over to Councilmember Kuo.
Thank you. How will the needs be met for students with special needs? Oftentimes, social distancing cannot be maintained with the support they require. How can we ensure their safety if they choose to participate in in-person learning?
Sure, I'll be happy to answer that a little bit. Certainly our students with special needs really are most sensitive when it comes to a lot of these issues. The upside is our special ed classes tend to, and especially our mod severe and our autism specific programs, tend to be very small class sizes and very few people in the rooms. And so that helps quite a bit. We certainly will be working with our special ed department, and they are working with right now on putting together procedures in place that if special ed students do choose to come into one of our traditional programs and be in class, that we'll do the best we possibly can to make sure that's a safe environment for both the students as well as our staff and teachers.
Okay, wonderful. I'm sorry, School Member Brooks, did you want to expand on that at all, or are you fine?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, sure. We have about 10 minutes, so I want to move forward to a couple other questions. I see that some are similar in nature, so I want to move to, okay, if Orange County is removed from the state watch list, how quickly will Iusd transition into in-person learning? You touched on that briefly, but...
Sure.
Go ahead.
So I appreciate that, and Lauren, you'll clean up if I don't say this correctly. We, once again, are committed for those parents and students who have chosen either our traditional or hybrid models to get them back in school as soon as it's safe to do so. Once the county is determined to come off the monitoring list for 14 days, we feel that we have actually set up to be able to return to class very quickly. And that's in a matter of days as opposed to a matter of weeks. And so we are preparing to do so when the day comes, and it will be a when, not an if. And when that occurs and it's safe to do so, we will make the pivot and return back to in-class instruction in a matter of days. Of course, as we get closer to that and as the county comes off the monitoring list and we're in that 14-day period, we will be communicating on a relatively constant basis with our parents. And so they know what's coming up. I know a lot of folks will have childcare and other issues that they need to resolve out. And so we will communicate as we get closer and closer to a return to in-person instruction for those students who have chosen that.
Thank you so much. Okay, so at this time, turn to Councilmember Quo.
Thank you. I think this is a great question. It's certainly directed towards parents and towards students, but I think it's appropriately directed at grown-ups too. But we've got school board members here today. Iusd, how is Iusd prepared to handle and address a wide range of mental health needs of students and staff? What is your process to provide mental health support to any student struggling with stress from the pandemic or other causes, and recognize students who show signs of anxiety or distress?
School board member Brooks, you want to answer that? Okay, great.
Yeah, this is a great question. Mental health, for years now, mental health has been a priority for our district. I talked about it. Board member Glasky talked about it. Our students will have complete access to all our current programs and, of course, any new programs we're doing. We have so many levels of support. With the support resources, we have daily support and intervention on any concerns as it relates to social, emotional distress. We have, in the last few years, we put wellness counselors at every high school, middle school, and we have supported every elementary school. We have a program called Speak Up, We Care that if you would like to look into online, it's a system of recognizing others and recognizing in yourself things and talking about it and getting people to get support. We have Project Success. We have academic counselors, and we're completely available with all these on all the models of education. We're also in the midst of training our teachers and our support staff and administrators on approaches how to do online and versus in-person identification. One of the things, teachers are a gift to us, and they're able to do so many things, but one thing they can do in a class is really identify when someone's struggling. Now, when you move to online, that identifying is a little bit different. So what we are doing is giving teachers the tools and our staff that's working with kids the tools to make the identification if something looks uncomfortable or if they have to look into something. We have a tiered social emotional learning support and training for TK-12. Really, students should know their voice matters and they're not alone. We have support for them. We also have support for our parents. This is unprecedented time for our parents and our teachers. And our teachers need a lot of support, and our staff does too. So in that, we've created a kind of a circle to help with mental health in that way and social emotional distress.
Well, thank you so much for that answer. And we have just a few minutes. I've got a question. I'll allow Councilmember Quo to ask the final question, and then I will just conclude. So the next question would be, what does the cleaning regiment look like? This is interesting. I think it's a question that we haven't dealt with. How often will classrooms be sanitized, and what about students' materials? And I'm assuming to keep them sanitized as well.
Sure. So the county has actually set forth, Orange County Department of Ed and the Public Health Agency, Healthcare Agency, has set aside some actually very concrete guidance when it comes to enhanced cleaning and hygiene, and we'll be following those completely. That involves our custodial staff doing cleaning and disinfecting of all frequently touched surfaces. We're limiting shared resources so that students won't be sharing books or other items between each other, so things will stay with the individual student. They'll be cleaning high-touch surfaces multiple times throughout the day. So our facility staff has been working hard over the summer to work with the county on implementing strategies and also getting materials so that we can, in fact, do this sanitation and cleaning on a regular basis. So I encourage folks who want to know more about that. The county has a very detailed list of their policies and procedures that we're following.
Wonderful, thank you. And this time I'll turn to Councilmember Kuo for our last question. And please go ahead with that.
Thank you. The last question from a parent is, I'd like to know about the Ieps program. Are there special online programs for Ieps students in case families pick the online option?
Who would like to answer that?
I didn't hear the question.
Sure. Are there special online programs for Ieps students if families picked the online option?
And I'm not sure, what does Ieps mean? Would that, maybe you can explain that.
Ieps is a program that we offer for creativity and Excel learning. It's an advanced class, but it focuses on creativity and testing to apply for it. And it's kind of like our GATE program. It's different from our GATE program. There's our GATE program and our Ieps program. So those are two special programs within Iusd, and within those programs were offered the same models that every other student was offered. So usually those programs have one class of 4th grade, one class of 5th grade, one class of 6th grade at certain schools in the district. So as parents in those groups or families in those groups pick out their programs, they may not align correctly. So what we are doing we are clustering our GATE students as best we can from the same school together, as we do for all our students. We're trying to keep them in the same school wherever possible. In terms of the Ieps, this would not look the same as Ieps that kids were in when they were in their home school, because of the 3 different models. You're taking one class and breaking them up. So we, as the people chose models, we're going to cluster and try to work with. In a homeschool, it may be you'll have a couple different homeschools together, but there will be clustering. It won't be a straight class from your homeschool.
Thank you. Was there any follow-up you wanted to? Okay, great. Thank you very, very much for that explanation. And now we come to the conclusion of our WebEx. I want to thank our community members for watching in, sending in questions. I want to thank our special guests and panelists for attending today and giving this update to our residents. Hopefully, maybe the next couple months, if not sooner, we could have another WebEx. It goes very quickly. And I know there's a lot more questions, and we will be hosting those on our city website, so and with answers that we will be providing. So if you have any interest, you can go to our city website. So we greatly appreciate all your efforts for the valuable time that you've taken from your schedules to support our community, our families, and again, we just want everyone to be safe. Make sure you wear your mask when you're in an environment close to people. You can't 6 foot distance, so we're here for you. We want you to know how much we care about you, and we know we'll all get through this together. So thank you so much for watching this evening, and thank you to everyone that was in attendance tonight. Thank you.